The following is brought to you by the Social Suplex Podcast Network.
Hey guys, this is Matt Seidel, and you're listening to Keepin It Strong Style.
Yo, this is Rich Latta from One Nation Radio. This is brought to you by the Social Suplex Podcast Network. We present to you the Ace of Podcasts, Keepin It Strong Style. Let's go. It's the Ace of Podcasts, Keepin It Strong Style. Covering New Japan, they ready to hold it down. Jeremy Donovan and the young boy Josh. Come and hit a job out and bury all the frauds. From the Tokyo Dome over to the G1. Social Suplex is the network where we can get it done. I'ma chill and let them have it, cause this is just an intro. Keeping the strong style, 6 stars from the get-go, boy. Yeah, from Tampa Bay to the Tokyo Dome, this is Keeping It Strong Style with your hosts, Jeremy Donovan and the young boy Joshua Smith. And thank you for listening.
Welcome to Keeping It Strong Style, the Ace of Podcasts on the Social Suplex Podcast Network. Jeremy Donovan here, solo this week. On today's show, I will review Night 1 of Super Junior Tag League, preview Fighting Spirit Unleashed, and cover all latest news in the world of New Japan Pro Wrestling. Please support our show by subscribing and following the Social Suplex Podcast Network or Keeping It Strong Style on the podcast app of your choice and leaving a rating and review. You can also get all the network's podcasts over at socialsuplex.com. Check out our Pro Wrestling Tees store, prowrestlingtees.com/socialsuplex. That's where you can get your official Keeping It Strong Style t-shirt. If you enjoy this podcast, please consider making a one-time or monthly donation by visiting socialsuplex.com/donate and clicking on the donate button under the Keeping It Strong Style logo. This week's episode is brought to you by the NJPWEXT, the only browser extension for NJPWWorld.com. Frequently updated, and it features like dark mode, improved translations and layouts, custom and shared playlists, synchronized viewing parties, and much, much more. It takes NJPW World to the next level. You can visit njpwext.us today for details. So like you heard in the intro, I am solo this week. Young boy is back in town, but he's feeling under the weather, feeling pretty sick right now, not able to record this evening. So prayers out to the young boy, and hopefully he will be feeling well and be on the show next week. But not to fear, I'm here to keep the train running on the tracks. Another episode of Keeping It Strong Style, making sure we continue our weekly episodic reign here as the longest running weekly episodic New Japan Pro Wrestling podcast, episode 308 this week. So we got Super Junior Tag League to talk about, Fighting Spirit Unleashed, a lot of news about Will Ospreay's contract status. Always a lot of stuff going on here in the world of New Japan Pro Wrestling. So I'll kick things off talking about Super Junior Tag League, the road to power struggle. So we had night 1 of the tour that kicked off this past weekend, October 21st. Show opened up with some non-tournament matches. So show started up, we had the United Empire team of Callum Newman, Great Okan, and Hanare defeating Ren Narita, Shota Umino, and Yuto Nakashima, 9 minutes and 31 seconds. So a couple things at play here. We're starting to see Narita and Umino team up after the draw from the best of 7 series that Team Nagata and Team Strong Style had last month. So we saw at the end of that series, these guys showed their respect for each other, and now they've been starting to team with each other on these tours. So Narita and Umino getting a chance to team here again, and it does seem like these guys will be potentially penciled in for World Tag League. Chris Charlton kind of hinted to that on commentary as well. And so I think that's kind of a good thing for them. Get them in World Tag League, get them something to do. Could be a spot for them on the Wrestle Kingdom card if they were to win World Tag League. So it'll be interesting to see where this story plays out between Umino and Narita. And of course, Yuto Nakashima, young lion, also trying to get some reps in, try to get ready to go on excursion. And then on the United Empire side, we have some guys that are getting ready for some big matchups. So Hanare is going to be challenging Eddie Kingston for the Strong Openweight Championship coming up this weekend. Fighting Spirit Unleashed. And also it was announced last week that the Great Okan will be taking on AEW's Jon Moxley at Power Struggle on November 4th. So 2 big matches coming up for these guys from the UE. So of course they're trying to build some momentum, pick up some good vibes, as the kids like to say, going into their big matchups. And of course you have Callum Newman, the Prince of Pace, the Prince of Pace. He is still on the tour here, getting his reps in. He is, quote unquote, the young lion of the United Empire. So he looked good in this match here as well. Good opening matchup here. Great Okan gets the win with the arm triangle choke on Yuto Nakashima. So United Empire guys, they get the win here, building up momentum. So big win for them as Okan, as I said, he gets ready to face Moxley, and Hanare gets ready to face Eddie Kingston. Then after that, we had the Just 5 Guys team of Sonata and Yuya Uemura defeating Boltin Oleg and Oscar Lube 8 minutes and 4 seconds. Sonata and Yuya Uemura, they have a tag team match coming up this weekend, fighting Spirit Unleashed. Uemura, the newest member of Just 5 Guys, starting to see him and Sonata working more together. And kind of an interesting piece that we really didn't touch on with Uemura coming back. He did say in his backstage comments after Ryogoku that one of the kind of stipulations for him joining Just 5 Guys is that he would want singles matches with the rest of the members. I don't know when those matches will happen, but it seems at some point that we're going to get Yuya running the gauntlet against Sonata, Doki, Taichi, and Taka, the rest of his stablemates there. And yeah, he's trying to build a name for himself, not trying to be just the 5th guy. So that's a very interesting thing there. And I seem to mention that the relationship between Sonata and Uemura kind of grew when Sonata was doing some Impact dates a few months ago. His gear got stolen. Uemura let him borrow his wrestling boots. And from there, that was kind of when the start of the talks between Sonata and Uemura happened for Yuya to come in and be the 5th member here of Just 5 Guys. These guys worked really good here together. This was their first time ever tagging together. And of course, Oleg showing a lot of fire as well here in this matchup, as well as Oscar Lube. I know everybody has their eyes set on Boltin Oleg, but for me, man, I see something special with Oscar Lube. There's just a lot of fire, a lot of fighting spirit. And a guy his size, man, he is so athletic. The way he's bouncing off the ropes and taking some of these moves, his selling is so good for a big guy. And, traditionally in wrestling, guys his size are not doing a lot of bumping. They're not doing a lot of running or selling. They're usually given a lot of offense. And so the fact that seems to be so athletic and so dynamic at this point in his career, I think screams good things for him. I think if I'm Oscar Lube, I'm watching all the Gunther/Walter tapes there are. I'm studying that style. I think Drew McIntyre is another good guy that he could watch tape of to really kind of hone his craft and hone his style as a big man who can move and fly around in the ring. But yeah, the Young Lions, they look good, but their efforts were thwarted here from the Just 5 Guys team. Yuya hits a top rope cross body on Oscar, and then his double overhook belly to belly suplex, which he calls the deadbolt suplex, hits that, gets the bridge 1, 2, 3. He gets the win here. Uemura, they mentioned on commentary that he's been studying a lot of Ricky the Dragon Steamboat, which I can definitely tell with his arm drags, the high cross body, He's looking really good. I think, Ricky the Dragon Steamboat's a great guy for Yuya to study, and he's been implementing a lot of those trademark Ricky the Dragon moves, and it's been looking great here. So after that matchup, we had Aaron Hanare joining Chris Charlton on commentary, and that led us to the third match of the evening. We had the LIJ team of Hiromu Takahashi and Tetsuya Naito defeating the Bullet Club team of Gato and Taiji Ishimori 8 minutes and 11 seconds. So obviously this is a preview match for the IWGP Junior Heavyweight title matches coming up at Power Struggle. Hiromu Takahashi continues his quest to break the defense record as he will defend against the Bone Soldier Taiji Ishimori. Obviously there is a lot of history. There's a big rivalry between Hiromu and Taiji dating back to Taiji making his way into the promotion. I believe that was 2018. So these guys have kind of been feuding on and off since then, have had a lot of Super Juniors matches, a lot of title matches. So this will be the next chapter in their rivalry happening at Power Struggle. Ishimori returning from injury, laying out Hiromu at the Destruction and Goku show a couple weeks ago. So now Ishimori kind of finally back in the mix here. First preview tag for these guys. I mean, these guys have great chemistry. You don't really quote unquote need a preview match for these guys. I think these guys know each other pretty well, and we kind of know what a Hiromu and Ishimori match looks like at this point. But also this is the way New Japan do things. You do your preview matches. And I think the big question here is, is Hiromu going to be able to beat Ishimori and continue on this quest to break the defense record? So I believe that the defense record is at 12 defenses, and Hiromu is he's currently at V6. So if he defeats Ishimori, he'll be V7. So he's halfway there. He still has quite a ways to go, and which is what has been a very lengthy title reign. And it's been very interesting. It seems like there's been a ton of long title reigns all throughout the wrestling world between New Japan, AEW, WWE. I'm sure there are other promotions out there that have these champions that are breaking long reigns, and we've been having a discussion about this in the Largo Loop group chat. Friend of the show, Rich Latta. What's up, Rich? He's sick of it. He's sick of the long title reigns. He's sick of everybody having to break defenses and break records, and everybody has these super long reigns. And on one hand, I kind of agree with him. It doesn't make it special when you have everybody on your roster with these super long, lengthy title reigns. It kind of makes them all blend together. I think if you're going to do it, you have one guy that is having the long reign, the long defense record, and then everybody else, you kind of give shorter reigns. Not saying you have to hot potato titles, but I think there is a fine balance between wanting to establish credible champions and hot potatoing. I think you can do. There's a healthy in between that you can do for reigns. You can give a guy a 3-4 month title reign. We don't need everybody that to go a year, 2 years, and try to recreate some of these like Hogan-esque title reigns from the 80s. But this is the story that they've been telling with Hiromu all year. But it has been a long story, and for me, the thing I don't get is he's done a lot of matches outside of New Japan. Other Japanese promotions. They had the whole All-Star Junior Festival weekend. He's had plenty of opportunity to add up more defenses to make the story move a little bit faster, make it a little bit more interesting. But for whatever reason, they've opted not to do any defenses outside of New Japan, outside of any New Japan US shows. So it does make it seem like this reign has been super long. I was a little shocked when Charlton said he was only at V6 because he's held the belt pretty much all year, and so it feels like at this point he would be a little bit closer to breaking the defense record. So this was a fine standard preview matchup here. Naito hits a tornado DDT on Gato to get the win here. And, Naito, he's obviously on his way to January 4th, Wrestle Kingdom. His date is set with Sonata for the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship. So a win here for him. He continues to build momentum heading into January 4th. And so with that last match that took us to the Super Junior Tag League matches on this card. So the first Tag League match, we had Catch 2-2. That's the team of Francisco Akira and TJP. They defeated the TMDK team of Kosei Fujita and Robbie Eagles, the Ichiban Sweet Boys. So this was Kosei Fujita, first match back in Japan since his excursion in Australia with Robbie Eagles. They did a whole tour throughout Australia, Ichiban Sweet Boys, picking up wins all over the place, all over Australia. So some really good stuff there. I hope some tape comes out of some of their matches and check some of that stuff out. But first time for them to team in New Japan proper. First time for Vegeta being back since teaming with Eagles, and he came back with a little bit of a different look. He had the dyed blonde hair. He had the kind of the razor blade and the eyebrows. He had some piercings. So definitely kind of embracing the young punks quote unquote look of TMDK. Kind of looking very similar to kind of a Robbie Eagles vibe. So really seems to really went under Robbie's wings in his time in Australia. So he came out, big pop for him. Crowd always loves to see young lions come back. And so I think the question here for Vegeta is he 100% graduated? I mean, he's no longer wearing the fully black trunks. He has the TMDK logo on the trunks. He has the Japanese flag. He has the longer dyed hair now, the piercing. So he's definitely has more of a look that distinguishes himself from other young lions. But is he fully graduated? We haven't really got that distinction yet. I mean, they're throwing up the TMDK logo on his nameplate. But yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure if this is going to be a situation where it's like Kevin Knight last year on this tour where he got his full graduation after teaming up with Kushida for a few matches and graduated in the middle of the tournament, in the middle of the tour, and fully embraced being a full roster member, no longer a young lion. So it'll be interesting to see kind of how this tournament plays out, how if Vegeta picks up any wins. Unfortunately, he did not pick up the win here in this matchup, even though he had a very good performance here. But the Ichiban Sweet Boys could not just match the experience of the former champions of Catch 2-2. We saw a lot of their great double team maneuvers, hitting that X Factor face plant. TJP hits the Mamba Splash for a great near fall, and then they hit the knee, which is that front and back running knee strikes to pin Fujita. Really good matchup. I really enjoy watching the Catch 2-2 team. I think Akira and TJP, they have very quickly become a great team and great chemistry. They know each other so well. They're always in the right place at the right time, and they're a fun team to watch. Like I said last week when we were previewing the tournament, when I was on with Suit, I think Catch 2-2, they have to be one of the favorites to win this whole thing. Former tag team champions. They had the big match at Wrestle Kingdom last year, defending against Leo Rush and Yo. So these are kind of the established teams of the junior division right now, and I highly expect them to be like 6-3, 7-2 in this thing and be in the finals. But Ichiban Sweet Boys looked good. Vegeta looked really good. Robbie Eagles always looks good. That guy is so smooth in the ring. So not the best start for the Ichiban Sweet Boys, but they did look good here, and I'm sure they will continue to build chemistry, momentum, and will pick up some wins later on in this tournament and catch 2-2. They pick up 2 points and get a good start for themselves on this tour. We did have some questions here from @thequick_manalt. Says, who do you want to see win the Super Junior Tag League? If it is not Ichiban Sweet Boys, explain yourselves. Well, I mean, love Robbie Eagles. If you haven't already, check out our interview we did with him a few months ago. Robbie's awesome. Vegeta's great. Ichiban Sweet Boys looking really good as a team here. I would be happy to see those guys win the tournament. I think it'd be really cool and get those guys in the Tokyo Dome facing off against War Dogs. But like I said, I just feel like catch 2-2. I feel like they're going to win this thing, and we'll see a rematch between them and the War Dogs. Next question here from @50ml Mafia. Says, so Vegeta is the future junior ace, right? I thought he looked incredible yesterday. Yeah, Vegeta, he looked great. He had the crowd reaction. He was hitting some Hurricane Ranas and some topes. So he was flying all over the ring, springboard drop kick. So yeah, he looked great. He was flying around. He's definitely somebody that can be a future star in this junior division. I think I'd love to see more of what he can do in a single setting. See what that would look like. See him mix it up with guys like Hiromu and Yo and Desperado, some of the top guys of the division. But yeah, I think there's a bright future for Vegeta in the junior division. And I think being teamed up with TMDK, learning a lot from Robbie and Zach and Nichols and Haste, it's going to be really good for him and really kind of establish him. And something that they did point out on commentary, and I noticed too in the match that, pre the Australia excursion, Vegeta was wrestling more like Zach, doing a lot of more submission holds, going for, the European clutch and some of the other of, Zach's, wacky roll-ups and submissions. And then coming back now from the Australia excursion, Vegeta was wrestling more like Robbie Eagles. We saw more high flying here, more just kind of the limb work, drop kicking to the knees, kind of the stuff that Robbie does to set up the Ron Miller special. So yeah, there's a lot more kind of that junior style, more kind of the influence from Eagles than the Zack Sabre influence, which would be pretty cool to have. And I think that if I'm Vegeta, I would do a mix of both of that stuff. Throw in the high flying stuff, and then also every once in a while throw in those holds that he learned from Sabre. And then next question here from MJ Does PR. He says, what a reception for the #1 Sweet Boy, eh? Yeah, like I said, yeah, Vegeta, great reception. And I'm curious to kind of hear what his Korakuen pop's going to be like, because it'll be his first time back in Korakuen Hall tomorrow and Wednesday. So I'm sure he'll get a big reaction there as well. And it'll be fun to see him competing in Korakuen in this tournament. So then we move on to the next match up here. We had the Intergalactic Jet Setters, Kevin Knight and Kushida, picking up their first 2 points of the tournament as they defeated the Just Five Guys team of Doki and Taka Michinoku in 10 minutes and 15 seconds. Another good matchup here. Kevin Knight and Kushida looking to get back on their winning ways. Former junior tag team champions. Like I mentioned last year during the tournament, Kevin Knight was a young lion. He graduated on the tour, teaming with Kushida. They've done a lot of work together in the LA dojo, and they've done some indie days together. They spent a lot of time in Impact Wrestling this summer as well, teaming together. These guys have really built up their chemistry and their tag team tandem maneuvers. So they're always a fun team to watch. I mean, Kevin Knight, this guy is always, jumping through the roof and jumping all over the place. So a lot of great high-flying maneuvers from Kevin Knight in this matchup. But to me, I really think that the star of this matchup was Taka Michinoku, the legend. This guy went out here, and you don't always see Taka a lot in big matches. He's not really doing a ton of stuff. He's usually more managing, more of the mouthpiece side of things. But I thought he looked really good here in this match. He was really fired up, really motivated here. He had the blue Kai Tai colors on here, kind of reminiscing, back to his prime. And there was one point in the match where he was trying to get the count out victory over Kushida, threw him into the wall, and then he made a beeline. He put him in the face lock, and then he made a beeline to the ring, but Kushida made it back, of course, right before 20 seconds here. But then, more back and forth action in the ring. Kevin Knight hit the sky high on Taka, then a springboard cross body block, then a plancha to the floor at Doki. Then Kushida got on the hoverboard submission on Taka, and Taka had no choice but to just tap out. But yeah, he looked really good here. He had a lot of great near falls, great near submissions. That just face lock on Kushida for a while there, but they were just not able to match the tandem, the experience of Kushida and Knight teaming together, the former tag team champions, the Jet Setters. So they pick up the win here. They get their first 2 points. And it might be a tough go for Doki and Taka points-wise, but when it comes to in the ring, Doki always kills it. And from this first matchup, Taka looks really motivated. He's in great shape, and I think he wants to have a really good tournament here. So I think they'll be a fun team to watch. Moving on to the next match, we had El Desperado and Master Wato defeating Ryusuke Taguchi and the DKC 10 minutes and 47 seconds. So another kind of an oddball pairing that was created from the best of 7 between Team Strong Style and Team Nagata. But unlike Narita and Umino, who kind of both agreed to want to team together, Desperado does not seem very happy to team with Master Wato. They came out here initially to Master Wato's theme music. Desperado came out second. He had none of that. He did not want to come out to Wato's music, told the music director to cut the music, play his music, and they played his music and walked to the ring. So we're kind of getting the more of the can they coexist vibes here between Desperado and Wato. I don't think Desperado fully respects Master Wato after the best of 7 series here. So I think Wato is going to have to continue to earn Despy's respect on this tour throughout this tournament. But those guys, they defeated DKC and Taguchi here and picked up a win. So even though we kind of have this oddball pairing, they did work really well here together and got their win. DKC, first time back in Japan in a while. He's been spending a lot of time at the LA Dojo, the New Japan Academy. He's one of the trainers for the beginner classes. So he's done a lot of stuff here in the States. He's done some indie stuff. And then, of course, Taguchi has been around. New partner here for Taguchi. We've seen Taguchi team of several different partners over the years in these junior tag team tournaments. And so seeing him here team up with DKC, Taguchi kind of trying to fit in with DKC, throwing some karate poses and chops here throughout the match. And, the coach, Taguchi, he's trying to teach DKC the playbook, and he's doing all his plays and trying to teach DKC how to do his stuff. And it seemed like DKC got it, but unfortunately, some of their timing just wasn't right there. Despy shoving DKC's face in Taguchi's butt into the corner. Of course, you're going to get that kind of humor, and you know what it is when Taguchi is in the ring. But yeah, a fine matchup here. Towards the end, Wato hit spin kick, and he hit his German suplex. I do not know how to correctly pronounce the name of his version of the German suplex, but it's that very high angle, high bridge German suplex. So got the win there. So I think the more Wato picks up the wins, maybe he will earn Despy's respect throughout this tournament, and we can see these guys. Maybe they'll end up winning. You got the Super Junior winner and a former junior heavyweight champion. This could be the makings of a team that could win this thing. And we had a question here from MJ Does PR. He says, do you think we'll see more of the DKC in Japan, or is this just a thank you for your service? Yeah, it's hard to say. I mean, DKC was a part of that original LA Dojo set of guys, Kevin Knight, Coughlin, Connors, Gabe Kidd. Also, he kind of came in. It was Kevin Knight kind of came in after that first class, but they were still kind of considered a part of that original LA Dojo group. He went under the Shibata training, and the rest of those guys all have spots. Most of the dojo guys are all in the Bullet Club War Dogs, and Kevin Knight, he's their regular tag team partner with Kushida. He's on tours regularly, challenging for the junior heavyweight tag team titles. So yeah, it seems like all those LA Dojo guys have got their spots except the DKC, and I don't know if that's because of his responsibilities, training at the academy, or maybe they just haven't found the right spot for him yet. I think, him being the goofy karate tag team partner of Taguchi is fine for now. Long term, I don't know if that's the best thing for him. I think he's a very talented guy. He shows a lot of fire. He's had some good matches on New Japan Strong when they were running the weekly TV show. And unfortunately, with that show going away, I know that the whole plan for New Japan this year for the US was just to do the pay-per-view shows and do less is more and not do the weekly Strongs. But unfortunately, there are a lot of guys who got hurt by Strong not being a weekly show anymore and got lost in the shuffle. And DKC is one of those guys. He was on those Strong tapings and the shows every week, having big matches and progressing on that show. And without that show, he's kind of been lost. And so hopefully this is the start of getting him back in the mix regularly. I would long term, I could see him do something a little bit different. But I think teaming up with Taguchi is a good way to kind of get his foot in the door. All right, then we move on to the semi-main event of the evening. We had the IWGP Junior Tag Team Champions, the Bullet Club War Dogs team of Clark Connors and Drilla Maloney. They defeated Musashi and Yo 12 minutes and 21 seconds. So this was the, quote unquote, New Japan debut for Musashi, who we mentioned last week. He comes from Michinoku Pro, and they have him and Yo have a history of friendship together. Both these guys were amateur wrestlers in high school from opposing teams, but their coaches were good friends, which allowed them to room together a lot, spend a lot of time together. So they kind of have that, real life friendship. And once Leo Rush was not going to be in this tournament, Yo went to Michinoku Pro and asked Musashi to be his tag team partner. So first time seeing them team up here together in New Japan. I think it's the first time they've probably ever teamed at all, as far to my knowledge. So new team up here. They're taking on the current tag team champion. So this is a big deal here. If they were able to pick up the win, they could have gotten themselves at least a future tag team title shot if they don't win the tournament. But like I said, they did not end up getting the win here, but they looked really good in this tournament. I I think the thing with Yo and Musashi, I think that, I don't know if this was the story or just them still getting used to each other as a team, but there was a lot of the double team tandems that were just a little bit off. They weren't fully in sync, which I think if it's a story, it works out perfectly, because obviously these guys have never teamed before. You don't expect them to come out here and hit everything in sync perfectly together and to know where each other are going to be. But besides that, I thought they looked good together as a team. Musashi, he looked really good, seemed to get a good crowd reaction. He's a 10-year veteran that he's called the future of Michinoku Pro. So he's their top guy. I'm guessing maybe he's quote unquote their ace. But yeah, he looked really good. He had a lot of good maneuvers here. There was a stereo dive with him and Yo to the floor, taking it to the Bullet Club War Dogs. Yo back in the ring, hitting a neck breaker. Had the hot tag to Musashi. We had a good exchange between Musashi and Drilla Maloney. We had some stereo Falcon arrows from Musashi and Yo. But then things changed quickly as the War Dogs, they hit that high-low spear combo, which was kind of the close to the beginning of the end. Yo was fighting back. He did hit the final hour frog splash, which was, of course, a tribute to Leo Rush for a great near fall. But then from there, Connors, he ran Musashi into the post, and then Yo was left alone between Connors and Maloney, and Connors hit a big spear, and then they got him up for the full clip, which is Maloney holding up Yo into the suplex, and Connors hitting the spear from the top rope. So great finish there. Like we said last week, I love the Drilla Killer pile driver. He didn't hit it here, but if he did, that should be the finish. No need to hit the full clip, but yeah, they did hit the full clip here. Got the win. Pretty clean win here for the champs, the War Dogs. And pretty interesting that they had Yo be the one to get the pin and not Musashi, considering, he's not a New Japan talent. He is new to this tour. He's not the established New Japan guy here. So yeah, very interesting piece of booking that it was Yo to eat the pin here. I wonder if that's going to be a story that plays out. Is Yo going to be the weak link of this team, or will we see both guys kind of exchange falls here? But I think definitely that's going to be something to keep our eyes out on. And I did have a question here from Cozy Dr. Lariat. He says Musashi is a hunk and has a better look than Yo. Do you think Yo is tired of being the other guy? Do you think NJPW working with outside companies has paid off? Look at Oiwa being treated as a big name talent in Noah. Yeah, I think New Japan working with other promotions has been a lot of fun this year. It's allowed them to do the Wrestle Kingdom shows with Pro Wrestling Noah, the big Muto retirement show, setting guys with that. The All-Star Junior Festivals in Japan and America. We've seen Hiromu all over the place. So yeah, we've seen a lot of guys do some excursion matches in Japan, in America. So yeah, it's always cool when we see New Japan, especially when they're in Japan working with outside companies. And I think a lot of people probably want to see more guys come into New Japan for some of these tours and tournaments and stuff like that. But I think throughout the year, we've seen a good mix of guys coming in, and we've seen that the relationship of them being more open allow for cool things like Musashi to come in. New Japan didn't always play well with others, especially when they were super hot. But post pandemic, they're trying to work together with other promotions. They're trying to just raise the state of wrestling in Japan as a whole. So yeah, them working with other companies, I think it's cool. I think it's been a great benefit for them this year. And also, yeah, sending Oiwa there as an excursion option. We've never really seen a young lion take an excursion in Japan for another promotion. I have not really watched any of Oiwa's work in Noah since he's been on excursion. But it's good to hear that he's being treated as a star. Obviously he's being teamed up with one of the top stars of Noah and Kiyomiya. So I think that'll be a great thing for him. And as far as Joe being the other guy, it is what it is. I mean, it's Yo has a certain look and style, and it doesn't seem that whoever he's teaming with is the more interesting guy. When he's with Sho, everybody likes Sho better. When he's with Leo Rush, more people are talking about Leo. And now he's teaming here with Musashi, and it's only been one match, and it seems like people are more interested in Musashi, and the booking is not helping. He's the one eating the pins here. But yeah, I am curious to see how they're going to gel as a team, if there's going to be a long-term thing, and if this is going to be an opportunity for Musashi to become a New Japan regular. And then for the main event of the show, we had the LIJ team of Bushi and Teton defeating the House of Torture team of Sho and Yoshinobu Kanemaru, 13 minutes and 54 seconds. And surprise, surprise, we got a ton of House of Torture shenanigans in this matchup. At one point in the match, Teton and Bushi had double trailer hitch, that reverse figure four leg locks on, and the bell rang, but it was Dick Togo ringing the bell, which caused Teton and Bushi to let go of the holds and raising their hands, thinking they won. Being some dumb baby faces, like you should know at this point, like you don't let go of the hold until the ref tells you to. Maybe one day baby faces will learn this. But yeah, they let go of the hold, which allowed House of Torture to get back the advantage here. So after that, Evil and Kanemaru attacked LIJ from behind as the ref got bumped. He's not seeing any of this. And so House of Torture, that they're running wild here. We got a second ref bump. Sho pulls off the mask of Teton, doing the most despicable thing you can do, pulling off a luchador's mask. So he does that, and Kanemaru comes in, and he's going to try and hit the whiskey, the Satori surprise, but Bushi is able to spit his mist into Kanemaru, and Teton gets his mask back, does a big flip dive to all the members of House of Torture, hits a tornado DDT on Sho, and then hits his top rope double stomp and gets the win. So very House of Torture style matchup here, multiple ref bumps, everybody running in interference, but luckily, it was only about 14 minutes and not close to 30 minutes. But Bushi and Teton, they get the win here, and they pick up their first 2 points. Question here from Rambone Slam Pigs is based on the first night of tournament matches. Are you surprised by the performance or booking of any of the teams so far? Or is it really too early to get a sense of things just yet? I think the big surprises for me was just the fact that Yo ate the pin in that tag match against the War Dogs. I thought Taka was surprisingly very motivated and looked really good in his tag match, teaming with Doki. Besides that, that's the only real surprises. I mean, you look at who won Catch 2-2, their former junior tag team champions. They almost broke the defense record this year. They're clearly, kind of the ace of the division right now. Then you have the Jet Setters, former junior tag team champions, Desperado and Wato. They're kind of your mega junior tag team. Despy, former, junior champion, best super junior winner. Wato, super junior winner this year. And then the War Dogs are the current junior tag team champions. And then LIJ, Bushi, and Teton, top team. They believe they are like 6-3 last year in the tournament. Teton finalists in Super Juniors this year. So all kind of guys that they've been pushing top teams won this first night. So very not surprising. They've kind of gone with the teams that they've been pushing, the guys that are currently hot right now. So it seems to be kind of by the numbers, at least for night one. And then going into the rest of the tournament, it's going to be interesting to see if we get some upsets here. So the rankings after night one, we have Bushi and Teton, Clark Connors and Drilla Maloney, El Desperado and Master Wato, Kushida and Kevin Knight, and TJP and Akira, all with 2 points, 1-0. And then Sho and Kanemaru, Yo and Musashi, Taguchi and DKC, Doki and Taka, and Eagles and Vegeta are all 0-1 with 0 points. And we have lots of tournament action coming up this week. So as you're listening to this probably on Tuesday, October 24th, there will be a show in Korakuen Hall. Show will open up. We'll have Oscar Lube, Ren Narita, and Shota Umino taking on Callum Newman, Great Okan, and Hanare. We'll have Hiromu Takahashi, Tetsuya Naito, and Yota Tsuji taking on Sanada, Taichi, and Yuya Uemura. We will have a NJPW World Television title match, as Zack Sabre Jr. will defend against Oleg Boltin. And then the tournament matches of the evening will have Risuke Taguchi and the DKC taking on Bushi and Teton. We'll have the Ichiban Sweet Boys taking on Doki and Taka. Desperado and Wato will take on Musashi and Yo. In the semi-main event spot, the Intergalactic Jet Setters will take on the House of Torture team of Sho and Kanemaru. And then the main event will be Catch 2-2 versus the War Dogs of Clark Connors and Drilla Maloney. That main event's definitely going to be one to circle and look out to watch. Those guys had a great matchup at the Independence Day where the War Dogs won the titles. So these guys have great chemistry. There's a lot of history here between these two teams. So that main event will be a fun one to watch, and it'll be in a hot Korakuen Hall crowd. Should be a great one. And then the next night, Wednesday, October 25th, they will still be at Korakuen Hall. Show will open up with Oleg Boltin teaming up with Narita and Shota Umino to take on Callum Newman, Great Okan, and Hanare. Then we'll have the Bullet Club team of Gato and Taiji Ishimori taking on Hiromu Takahashi and Yota Tsuji. And then Hiroshi Tanahashi, Oscar Lube, and Tomohiro Ishii will take on Sanada, Taichi, and Yuya Uemura. Then the tournament matches for this evening, we will have Risuke Taguchi and the DKC taking on the Ichiban Sweet Boys, Musashi and Yo taking on Catch 2-2. We will have Sho and Kanemaru taking on Doki and Taka. The Intergalactic Jet Setters taking on the War Dogs. And the main event will be El Desperado and Master Wato taking on Bushi and Teton, which that should be another great main event matchup there. And then moving on to night 4 will be October 26th in Saitama, Japan. We'll have Oscar Lube and Yuta Nakashima taking on the Great Bash heel team of Togi Makabe and Tomoaki Hanma. Ren Narita and Shota Umino will take on Callum Newman and Great Okan. Tomohiro Ishii, Toriano, and Yoshihashi will take on Dick Togo, Evil, and Yujiro Takahashi. And then we'll get tournament matchups of Risuke Taguchi and the DKC taking on the Intergalactic Jet Setters. Then Catch 2-2 will take on Doki and Taka. Musashi and Yo will take on Sho and Kanemaru. Semi-main event, Bushi and Teton will take on the War Dogs. And then the main event will be El Desperado and Master Wato versus the Ichiban Sweet Boys. And that will take us to night 5 of the tour, which will happen in Fukushima, Japan. Show will open up with Bullet Olten, Oscar Lube, and Yuto Nakashima taking on Togi Makabe, Tomoaki Hanma, and Hiroshi Tenzan. And then we'll have Ren Narita and Shota Umino taking on Callum Newman and Great Okan. Tomohiro Ishii, Toru Yano, and Yoshihashi taking on Dick Togo, Evil, and Yujiro Takahashi. And then in tournament action, we will have Rich Kaguchi and the DKC taking on Catch 2-2, Musashi and Yo taking on Doki and Taka, Sho and Kanemaru taking on the Ichiban Sweet Boys. Intergalactic Jet Setters will take on Bushi and Teton in the semi-main event. And then the main event will be El Desperado and Master Wato against the champs, the Bullet Club War Dogs. So very interesting to see Despy and Wato. They're getting a lot of main event matches here. They're in the main event every night except on the 24th show. So definitely Desperado and Wato are going to be a team to watch out here. I think those guys are definitely going to end up in the finals. I could see maybe Despy, Wato, Catch 2-2 finals could be the move there, but I think Despy and Wato are definitely going to be one of those teams that end up like 6-3 by the time the thing's over. Well, now we will switch gears to Fighting Spirit Unleashed. This will be happening this Saturday, October 28th, from Sam's Town Live in Las Vegas, Nevada. And this show will be airing English commentary on Fight TV and Japanese commentary on NJPW World. So let's take a look at the card here, and I will give my predictions. So we have 2 pre-show matches for this show. We have a Strong Survivor match with Matt Vandegrift versus Buck Skyner. And so the Strong Survivor match is a new concept that's going to give the most promising prospects from the NJPW Academy an opportunity to show their stuff on a larger stage. So almost kind of like the old ROH Proving Ground matches. So ways for get some eyes on these guys that have been training in the academy to the top students here. So we'll see what these Matt and Buck have here. And then the other pre-show match will be Balian Aki, Jacob Austin Young, and Titus Alexander teaming up to take on the Team Filthy team of Danny Limelight, Jarrell Nelson, and Royce Isaac. So we got Danny Limelight back on New Japan Strong, back on Team Filthy. It seems like it's been a while since Danny Limelight's been booked by New Japan. So he's back here teaming with the West Coast Wrecking Crew, taking on a bunch of independent guys. Some we've seen before. Jacob Austin Young, he's been on several of the Strong tapings before they went away from weekly TV. Titus Alexander, he had a great match with Will Ospreay. I think that might have been last year. So very experienced guys. I'm not sure about Bali and Aki. That's a name I am not familiar with. I have not seen him wrestle before. But it'll be interesting to see what those guys have. If it's kind of a tryout match to get some of these guys on some more of these New Japan Strong shows, or potentially even get a shot at getting to Japan. So that should be a fun pre-show match to watch. And then moving on to the main card, the show will open up with the NJPW Strong Openweight Title #1 Contendership 4-way match as Satoshi Kojima takes on Fred Rosser, Jeff Cobb, and Alex Coughlin. So very interesting 4 names here. Obviously, my man, the leader of Bread Cub, Kojima, making another U.S. date here, getting a potential shot to get another crack at the Strong title. He failed to defeat Filthy Tom in the past when Tom was a champion. Fred Rosser, former Strong champion. Jeff Cobb, former Never champion. A guy that's pushed very heavily in New Japan proper. And then one of the War Dogs, Alex Coughlin. So the winner of this will determine the next challenger for the Strong Openweight Championship, which is currently held by Eddie Kingston, who will be defending on this card. Based off of these names here, I'm going to go with Jeff Cobb getting the win, just because he is the probably the most well-pushed guy in this match. Like I mentioned, former Never champion, former tag team champion. He's had some great G1 runs. He's been a guy that they've put in big spots in the last 2 years. He's kind of number 2 in the pecking order for the heavyweights on the United Empire side. So I feel like you could use Cobb in a big match. He's more heel leaning, so if Eddie were to retain, you kind of have that dynamic there as well. So yeah, he's my favorite. He's my prediction. I'm going with winning. I feel like with Rosser, he's kind of had his spot in the sun as far as, being a strong champion and challenger. I think for Rosser, I think they need to get him in Japan. I think he's earned a shot to do a tour. So I don't see him going back to challenging with a strong title. Coughlin, he's been more of a tag team guy with Gabe Kidd. If they wanted to pull kind of surprising win, it would be cool for Coughlin to get a win to give him a big match on a future show. And then there's Kojima. Obviously, as a big fan of Satoshi Kojima, I wouldn't mind seeing him hit a big Western lariat, getting a big win here, and going on a challenge for the championship. But like I said in the past, he's had his shots in the past. Obviously, he's not very heavily pushed in New Japan right now. One of the quote unquote New Japan dads, one of the older guys on the roster. But even at his age, he's still going out there and having great matches. But I'm still gonna stick with my prediction of the Imperial Unit, Jeff Cobb, getting the win here. So then after that, we will have Stephanie Vaquer and Zeusis take on Johnny Robbie and Luvia. Not sure if I'm saying that correctly at all. Probably not. But tag team women's match here for this card. Stephanie Vaquer, she had some great performances in that strong women's tournament, facing off against Mercedes Moné. And I think she turned a lot of heads. And I'm actually very surprised that no one has tried to book her since that match with Moné. I thought she looked great, looked like a star, wrestled very well. So she'll have another chance here to impress U.S. fans, and hopefully people are watching. Stephanie Vaquer, I think, definitely needs to get some more U.S. bookings going forward. Bring her over to Stardom. I think she definitely needs to be talked about more than she currently is. And then after that, we'll have a first-time singles match between Filthy Tom Lawler and Gabe Kidd of the Bullet Club War Dogs. So both guys here kind of trying to really establish themselves, get into contention, probably for the strong openweight title in the future. Philly Tom, of course, former strong openweight champion, longest reigning strong champion, had a great run there. Really one of the faces of this New Japan strong brand. And then Gabe Kidd, before he was a War Dog, he was on Strong, having bangers. He had a great match with Eddie Kingston, which was one of our Strong Style Fight of the Year candidates. I believe that was last year or 2 years ago. But yeah, he's done a lot of great stuff on New Japan Strong as well. And with Coughlin being in the 4-way, that freed up Kidd to be in a singles match up here on this card. So a battle of Team Filthy and Bullet Club War Dogs. I think Gabe Kidd is going to get I don't know if it's a surprise win's the right way to say it, but it will be a big win for him. I think he'll get the win here, especially since he attacked Will Ospreay at the Royal Quest 30 show when Will was doing his post-match promo. So clearly he has his eyes set on Will Ospreay. So if you're going to shoot that angle and have him attack Will, I think you need to give him a big win to make him look more as a credible challenger for Ospreay. Then following that matchup, we're going to have a 8-man tag. This is Atlantis' 40th anniversary match. So we will have Atlantis Jr., Mystico, and Hiroshi Tanahashi taking on Rocky Romero, our good friend, Soberano Jr., Tiger Mask, and Adrian Quest. So this should be a very fun, high-flying matchup. This past Friday on Rampage, Rocky and Mystico mixed it up and had a really great matchup there. Rocky's been killing it in CMLL this year, been having a lot of great matchups with these CMLL guys. And so, we got some top CMLL guys here. We got Atlantis Jr., Mystico, Atlantis, mixing it up. And of course, you got the ace of the universe, Tanahashi. And then Rocky's team here, he's got a solid team. Soberano Jr. is a guy who's he's improved a lot over the years, and he's always a fun guy to watch. Adrian Quest, Young Fuego, he's another guy that I was talking about, where he got lost when the Strong Show went away, and they moved to just doing pay-per-view. Because he was a guy that was on there weekly, whether he was teaming with Rocky or having some great singles matches. He was a guy to me that I feel like was really kind of starting to break through, having a lot of fun, high-flying matchups. So I'm glad to see that he's still kind of in their Rolodex of names that they will call in for shows like this. I think Adrian Quest is a guy that he should get a Super Juniors run. He's a guy that, why not put him and Rocky as a team in a Super Junior Tag League in the future? So glad to see Young Fuego here. Then we got Tiger Mask. I wonder if he will be in a grumpy Tiger Mask mood here. But yeah, this will be a fun matchup. Kind of continue Rocky, being the number one Rudo in CMLL, taking on three of the top faces of the promotion on the opposite side of him. I think since this is Atlantis' 40th anniversary match, I'm gonna guess that Team Atlantis will get the win here, probably pinning either Tiger Mask or Young Fuego Adrian Quest. And then following that, we will have the Strong Women's Championship on the line as Julia will defend against Hyan. This will be first time in a while that we've seen the Strong Women's Championship defended in the U.S. So Julia's been defending the title over in Stardom. And after her latest defense against Amy Sorai in Korakuen Hall, it was made known that Hyan had called out Julia to be the next challenger. Hyan's a favorite of the Texas independent scene. She's also done some stuff in Impact. He's made some shots in Rev Pro. So Hyan's very experienced. I believe she was trained by Booker T at his reality wrestling school there in Texas. So she's a really good worker. And, Julia is awesome. One of the best women's wrestlers in the world. Super talented, super charismatic. And you know what they say, all the boys love Julia. And so she'll be making her presence known here in Las Vegas. And so this should be a very fun matchup here. I expect Julia to retain, as the rumor mill continues that we will eventually get a Julia versus Mercedes Moné title match in the future. Then following that, we will have the Strong Openweight Tag Team Championships on the line. representing Gorillas of Destiny, El Phantasmo and Hikuleo, the champs. They will defend the titles against Monster Sauce. That's the team of Alex Zane and the Murder Hawk Monster, Lance Archer. So we saw Monster Sauce teaming up during the Independence Day tour shows in July. That's when we first saw that team, and I believe they've done a couple other independent dates together as a team since then as well. So very similar teams here, where you have a high-flying junior in ELP and Alex Zane, and then you got the big men in Hikuleo and Lance Archer. So this should be a fun matchup here. This will be the first defense for ELP and Hikuleo. It's very weird seeing, Gorillas of Destiny in a tag team match and it not being Tama Tonga and Tangaloa and being ELP and Hikuleo. I am going to go with ELP and Hikuleo retaining the tag team titles here. They just won it. Zayn is not quite a regular in New Japan. Neither is Lance Archer. I'll see coming from Archer from AEW. You could put the belts on those guys, since these titles are supposed to be quote unquote more US based. But I think they're gonna establish ELP and Hikuleo here, and I think they're gonna get the big win, retain the titles, and I think ELP and Hikuleo will be a team set to be in World Tag League come December. And then moving on to the 7th match on the main card, we will have the Strong Openweight Championship on the line as Eddie Kingston will defend against Hanare. This match has been built up for quite some time now. Hanare got a win over Eddie Kingston in the G1. And since then, he's been clamoring to get a rematch against Eddie Kingston. And, he's been calling out Kingston for months now to get a title shot. And we finally got it. Eddie and Hanare here at Fighting Spirit Unleashed. Eddie's also the Ring of Honor World Champion. He's been defending both of those titles on AEW TV. He has a title match coming up, I believe, this week on Dynamite. He's defending against Jay Lethal. So yeah, with Eddie being double champion and also being an AEW guy, the booking kind of falls in his favor. Personally, I think I would rather Hanare win this match. Hanare, he did have a big win over Shingo this year, but he still needs some big kind of milestones and moments, and I think kind of giving Hanare this moment here would be a thing that could help establish him, being a top guy in Eddie Kingston and allowing Hanare to have some great strong title matches on these US shows. And in Japan, I think it could really help elevate his stock. But like I said, due to Eddie being double champion, being an AEW contracted wrestler, I think that Eddie Kingston is going to get the win here and knock out Hanare with the Yuriken back fist. Then the 8th match of the evening on the main card will be the Just 5 Guys team of Sonata and Yuya Uemura taking on the LIJ team of Tetsuya Naito and Hiromu Takahashi. So this is a big preview match here for the January 4th Tokyo Dome main event. Sonata will defend against Naito on January 4th. So we will be continuing to see preview matches for these guys throughout the rest of this month and throughout November and December until we finally get to January 4th in the Tokyo Dome. Should be a good matchup here. I think that we'll see Yuya Uemura picking up the win over Hiromu, just because Hiromu is a junior. And both, well, I guess Sonata could pin Hiromu as well, but I think just 5 guys will get the win here, since there are 2 heavyweights going against a heavyweight and a junior. And hopefully this could help build some excitement and intrigue for the January 4th match. I had some questions here. Rambone Slam Pig says, with Naito likely holding the world title and Hiromu the junior title after Wrestle Kingdom, how likely is it that Shingo, Tsuji, Bushi, and Teton all get some tag goal to complete a full golden roll call? Do you think that is the direction this is going? Similar thought here from Ethan from the Discord says, do you think at the end of Wrestle Kingdom, all of LIJ will be holding titles for the roll call? So yeah, I think it's definitely a possibility. Naito keeps, going on and on and on about wanting to get the roll call done, and we know last time he won the title, Wrestle Kingdom in 2020, and Kenta came out and interrupted the roll call and attacked him. So yeah, he never really got that true Wrestle Kingdom big roll call, and I think it would make it all the better if you did have a moment like that where, Shingo and Tsuji, they win World Tag League, they win the tag team titles. Then you could have Bushi and Teton get into the junior tag team title match. They could win that. You have Hiromu retain the junior title. Then all these guys are champions. And the night you have Naito beat Sonata, calls them all out, does the big golden roll call, all of LIJ's champions, and you start the new year, with your top, one of the most popular factions holding a lot of the titles in New Japan. Next question here from Def Triangle 720. He says, what can Gato do to make the Naito and Sonata feud feel more impactful with the remaining time left before the Dome? Oh man, that's a tough one. Like we were mentioning last week, there's just not a ton of interest in this matchup, and there's so much history here between these guys. You think that this would be more intriguing, but honestly, for me, I think that they just need to make this match more personal. I think we need to see this get more heated. Right now it's kind of the haha. Naito is being tranquilo and, taunting Sonata with this tote bag thing, and Sonata's being, stoic and not saying much, and, it's just kind of meh. I think we need these guys, they need to get personal. They need to be in each other's faces. I'm Sonata in this feud, like you're trying to prove that, you're not a joke. You're trying to prove that, you're trying to prove Naito wrong, that you could have been the man, you could have been the faction leader this whole time. And so I think I would love to see just more aggression from both of these guys, some more heated angles, have these guys, brawl to a double DQ, a double count out, have these guys brawl all over Cork and Hall, make this a more intense, a more impersonal, have them cut these heated promos and translate them, put them out. That was one of the great things that really helped, build the Will Kenny match last year. Was a lot of the promo stuff and just how heated it was. Besides both of those guys being, two of the absolute best wrestlers on the planet. But having the heat going into the match helped the match as well. And so there's just not heat right now with Sonata and Naito. There needs to be more of a personal issue because for these guys, because clearly the world title is not enough to make this feud interesting. And so I think it needs to get more personal. It needs to get more heated. These guys need to be, firing shots and promos, and it needs to be a highly heated contest. And so that will take us to the main event for Fighting Spirit Unleashed, and that will be for the Never Openweight Championship, as the champion Tama Tonga defends against the Dragon Shingo Takagi. This should be a very hard-hitting matchup here. Tama has mentioned wanting to bring the title back to, the kind of the BMF status that it had, where you had, big beefy guys throwing lariats and chops, having hard out battles and wars. So that's what Tama wants to do, and these guys faced off in the G1, which ended in a time limit draw. So there's unfinished business here between Tama and Shingo. So hopefully we'll find out who the better man is here come this weekend in Las Vegas. 60-minute time limit here. Highly doubt they're going to go to the time limit for this matchup. So this is a kind of a interesting matchup here, and the fact that I feel like a lot of people want Shingo to win this match and kind of get back in the Never division and have a great Never title run, do something cool at the Dome. But they just gave the belt back to Tama Tonga. I think there's something there with Tama, and I think he just needs some better opponents, and he's getting one right here with Shingo Takagi. Personally, Shingo is I'm more of a Shingo fan than I am a Tama Tonga fan. Shingo is probably my favorite Japanese New Japan wrestler right now. So if it was up to me, just booking for Jeremy Donovan's preference, I would have Shingo win this match, but I feel like Tama's going to retain here. He just got the belt back from Finley. I feel like he's going to retain, and then he'll move on to defend that at the Dome against somebody. I don't know who. Maybe somebody who won a match on this card. Maybe Gabe Kidd can come out if he beats Tom, or if Tom beats Kidd, they can come out and challenge next. And then I think Shingo will be off to World Tag League to team with Tsuji and potentially win that tournament. And then last question here, considering this show from Death Triangle 720. He says, if you guys could tweak two things about the US shows, what would it be? So one thing I would tweak is just where the show is airing. New Japan, they have their own streaming service. I don't understand the need to have to use Fight TV to air these shows. I think it can be confusing for your fan base, people who are used to watching stuff on New Japan World. Oh, a show's coming up, and they're like, oh, I have to pay for I have to buy it on another service to get the English commentary. So that's one thing I would do. I think it's just for clarity and synergy's sake, have all your stuff on New Japan World. If you want to make it the whole extra pay-per-view gimmick they've been doing with some of the shows on World, fine, do that. But I think it's a lot easier user experience, customer experience to have it all on New Japan World. But then the other thing I would say is just the production. I know that they have been working very hard to get these shows, the US shows, to be produced better. And I do think they've made some headway there, but across the board, I think there's still more that could be done. And I get that there's a lot of finance and money crunch stuff that I'm not privy to. I'm sure there's a reason why certain things end up the way they do. But I think back to those Access TV New Japan specials that aired back in 2018, and man, the productions for those were very crisp. And even you look at some of the Access shows that air on Thursday nights with some of the same footage that we see from NJPW World, and some of that full crisp HD, great production. And so I think New Japan, the Japanese camera team and production team, It's one of the best in the world. I think New Japan is the best at producing wrestling and producing it as a sport. And so I think they need to bring that same presentation to these U.S. shows to make them feel like a New Japan show and to just give the show the quality production it deserves. Well, that is going to be my preview and predictions for Fighting Spirit Unleashed. So next week, we will review that show and talk about any news items that come out from there. So speaking of news, that's what I'm going to jump into next. We had some news this week with Will Ospreay and his contract status and future. So Will, he had an interview with Sports Illustrated this past week, and he said that Impact is in the running of companies he could sign with when his NJPW deal expires in February. Will said the deal is up in February and we're still in negotiations. I'm looking to explore every single option and every single avenue. Impact Wrestling is in the running for my next home. I'm willing to test the waters. So this match against Mike Bailey is a real treat for me, and I'm excited to do it, especially with what could happen next year. So obviously Will was talking about his match with Speedball Mike Bailey, which happened this past weekend at Impact, or I guess I should say TNA. That they switched the name back, TNA Wrestling's Bound for Glory. And then also, Will this week said that he was open to the idea of joining WWE. He was asked by Metro about the possibility of him signing with WWE. And Will says, I mean, we have spoke about it more. I'm now open to the idea of stretching myself out that little bit more. As age has become more apparent to me and my body is hurting more and more, I'm open to all avenues. I've had a lot of talks with my friends about this, and I spoke to the missus. Ospreay also mentioned that he and his significant other are open to possibly relocating to the United States. So I know there's been a lot of speculation here. Also, it came out this week that Will Ospreay hired Barry Bloom to be his agent during these contract negotiations. Barry Bloom has represented a ton of wrestlers and getting them great deals. Chris Jericho, The Elite, several guys throughout the years in big promotions. Barry Bloom's kind of been the guy handling these contract negotiations. And we had a question here from Lee Chang is Bay 2. Says, Will Ospreay hired Barry Bloom as his agent recently due to his contract negotiations once he hit free agency next year. Is this it for Will Ospreay in New Japan? Well, if you've been listening to this show this year, we've kind of been hinting that, it seems like Will is out the door. There's a lot of rumbling out on the streets about what Will's going to do next, where he's going to go. Clearly, he's been doing a lot more AEW dates this year, and he's a member of the Don Callis family, so he's kind of built into AEW canon. There's an AEW storyline pretty much set up for him if he were to jump ship to AEW full time. But yeah, I definitely think that Will is not going to be a full-time New Japan wrestler next year after his contract is up. I think the most likely scenario is that he will sign a full-time deal with AEW and then continue to maybe do some big shots for New Japan. Maybe he'll show up at a Wrestle Kingdom, at Dominion, some of the bigger shows of the year. I know right now, I think also if you are going to be a free agent, you want a bidding war. You want all companies throwing money at you. So it's very wise for Will to go to all these media outlets and be like, yeah, I would sign, with TNA. I would sign with WWE. you want all these companies to be in a bidding war for you to get the best offer. So is Will considering WWE? Maybe he is, but I feel like him saying that is more of a tactic to get a better deal from AEW. But yeah, I don't see him right now. I have a hard time seeing him re-signing a full-time New Japan deal. We've seen in the past that New Japan just doesn't have the finances to really counter offer some of these bigger AEW and WWE deals. Will's getting older. He's in a relationship. He has a step kid. He's trying to make the most money he can. And I don't blame him for that. So yeah, I think it's gonna be very interesting to continue to watch and listen to what Will says in the media, and if he's gonna do more where he's wrestling. I know he's doing a lot more Impact Wrestling, or TNA wrestling dates this year. I'm sure we will see him at AEW again at some point. For Tokyo Dome, he's probably facing Jon Moxley. So again, there's that AEW connection right there. Which if AEW could promote that match for Tokyo Dome. So yeah, to me, I think that AEW is probably the landing spot, but you never say never in wrestling. We know WWE is making more money than they ever have. They have a ton of money. But with the whole TKO merger, though, I know that they haven't really been signing a ton of people, and the stock price apparently has not been as great since they've announced the TKO launch and merger. So maybe they're not trying to sign people, but I mean, if I were WWE, and I don't know who exactly is making the talent decisions right now, but I think they would be pretty dumb to not make an offer to Will Ospreay. So we will keep our eyes out for what happens in the coming months, but like I said, let's stay tuned to what Will's saying in the media. Let's see where he's wrestling. He's, like I said, he's doing a lot of TNA dates, AEW. Let's see where he's going. Let's see what his Tokyo Dome match is going to be. Let's see how he leaves New Japan. Is he going to get, booted out of United Empire? Is he going to be completely rained out? Is he going to leave as a champion? I think a lot of stuff like that is really going to indicate where he's going to go come next year. So in other news, on Friday, October 27th, there's going to be a special press conference, which will see the champions and challengers in each of the Fighting Spirit Unleashes 4 title matches come face to face to offer their final thoughts. The press conference will take place from the Sam's Town Hotel and Gambling Hall Pioneer Room. Doors opening at 6:30 p.m. for a 7 p.m. start time. The press conference is open to the public and free, and will also be released to NJPW World and YouTube after the conference is over. And other news, we had some more matches released for the Power Struggle show coming up next month. So as of right now, the lineup looks like the IWGP UK and US champion Will Ospreay defending against Shota Umino. IWGP Junior Heavyweight Champion Hiromu Takahashi defending against Taiji Ishimori. The Never Openweight 6-man tag team champions Kazuchika Okada, Hiroshi Tanahashi, and Tomohiro Ishii will defend against Zack Sabre Jr., Shane Hayes, and Mikey Nichols of TMDK. Jon Moxley, the Deaf Rider, he'll be taking on Great O'Khan. We'll have the Super Junior Tag League Finals. Sanada and Yuya Uemura will take on Tetsuya Naito and Yota Tsuji. And David Finlay will take on Tanga Loa. Very interesting choice of opponents there for Finlay. So next up, we have AEW Dynamite this Wednesday. The Rainmaker, Kazuchika Okada, will be showing up at Dynamite to team up with Orange Cassidy to take on Bryan Danielson and Claudio Castagnoli. So this match was built up this past weekend at the Battle of the Belt show that AEW ran this past Saturday. So OC calling in his buddy Kazuchika Okada. And so clearly I think that this is a Wrestle Kingdom 18 implications here. You know, we talked about, you know, when Danielson beat Okada at Forbidden Door, that it felt like they were definitely going to do a rematch and have these guys face off in the Tokyo Dome. And that definitely seems to be the case here, having these guys in a tag match on Dynamite. I think this will be the key that will be the thing that launches us into a Danielson-Okada rematch at January 4th. And we had a question here from Rambone Slam Pig. He says, does Okada being announced for an AEW show on the same night as it was announced that TNA is coming back have some kind of cosmic meaning? Will he be appearing as Okato? Yeah, I highly doubt that Okada is going to ever be Okato again. But yeah, it is very funny that, you know, even prior to this whole thing, when they were facing off against Machine Guns and Alexander, Okada was talking about, yeah, you know, the only promotion I truly hate is TNA, but, you know, they're Impact, so I don't hate them. But now they've switched the name back to TNA Wrestling, so yeah, I wonder if that hate will rekindle for Okada and will not want to work with any of those guys. But no, honestly, I think Okada probably doesn't even really care about Impact, TNA, what their name is, and I'm sure he'll wrestle whoever. And speaking of TNA, they had their Bound for Glory pay-per-view this past weekend. Will Ospreay was there defeating Speedball Mike Bailey. I've heard that match was incredible. It was like 9.30 the morning of on Cage Match. So a lot of people throwing 5 stars, 4.75, 4.5. Definitely seems to be a match of the year candidate. Will probably definitely be a candidate for our excursion of the excursion match of the year award. Also, Chris Sabin, he defeated Kenta on the show. Then coming up Saturday, December 16th, from the Crystal Palace National Sports Center for Rev Pro Uprising 2023, Luke Jacobs will get another crack at the Stone Pitbull Tomohiro Ishii. I was there live for this match in London in August during All In weekend. They had the Rev Pro anniversary show. These guys went out here and had a great hard-hitting matchup. So hopefully they can rekindle that magic and have a great match come December. And then last piece of news here, Zack Sabre Jr., he won the 2023 PWA Australia Coliseum tournament this past weekend. So shout out to Zack Sabre Jr. All right, gonna land the plane here with some questions, and then we will wrap things up for this show this week. So Def Triangle 720 says, if the IC belt returned and replaced the US/UK belt, who should hold the belt? Well, clearly it seems like this whole Ospreay Umino match is leading to that, with Umino telling Will to bring both of the titles. So it definitely seems like that's where they're going. And it's hard because on one hand, I feel like, well, Will should win the match. He's on an incredible run. He's one of the best wrestlers of the world. If you want to bring back that title, why not, start it off with, you're one of your best wrestlers, one of the hottest guys in pro wrestling. But on the other hand, it's like that title has a lot of history. There's a lot of nostalgia. It holds a warm spot in the fans of New Japan's hearts. And it's a title that could help elevate a young guy like Shota Umino. So it's kind of a hard call here. I think for the future of Shota Umino, I think it's almost like necessary that he does win this matchup, because this is going to be like the fourth time now that he's faced Will Ospreay in a singles match, and I don't think it does Umino any favors to lose to Ospreay again so soon. He's had a lot of recent losses against Ospreay, and I just don't think it looks good for Umino to just kind of be this failing challenger and this guy who just fails to beat Ospreay, especially since it's been, pretty back to back. Well, I guess there's been some time, but not long enough to where it's where I would want to beat Umino again. So for me, I think it's Umino needs to win the match, and I think him being their first return IC champion would be a great thing to really catapult him. Death Triangle also asked, do you guys think New Japan limits itself in terms of the creativity for their major title feuds? Well, I'll say, since we have been doing this show for, the last 5-6 years now, I feel like the majority of the world title feuds have been great. A lot of personal issues, or two of the best wrestlers just trying to prove that they're the best in the world. When you have that sports-based presentation, and you treat the title seriously, and you book the top workers and athletes, it's very easy to have a compelling matchup without needing to do, a contract signing or some kind of, crazy, wacky angle. So I think, kind of the traditional booking of the world title main events have been good, and the feuds have been good. I think where they could potentially, you can say that they limit themselves, is in some of the choices and who they pick for the world champion. I think a lot of times, they go back to Okada, which I totally understand. He's the top guy. He's the ace. Again, I know Tanahashi is the quote unquote ace, but Okada is really the ace of the company. He's their top guy. He's the top money maker. Business always well when he's on top, so it definitely makes sense. But I think there are times where you could try some of the younger guys, do something different. The whole Sonata run, I think it's fine that they tried to do something different, and initially it seemed like it was working, but long term it's just not working out. And I think the only way you really find that out is by trying guys out. I mean, Sonata, this could have been a great run for him, but unfortunately I think it's just fine. But why not, with hindsight being 2020, Yota Tsuji winning the title at Dominion this year would have been great. It would have catapulted him. He would have been a set guy. I mean, he's so great. The charisma, the moves, he's awesome. And so I do think there's stuff like that where, I guess it's hard to tell, because I guess Gato had no idea to know that Tsuji was going to get that monstrous reaction that he got and has been getting. And that he would be so over coming back from Excursion. So I think there are some more chances that New Japan could take with the world title from different guys. Why didn't Will Ospreay get another title shot or another title run? There's some guys like that where it's just it makes all the sense in the world to put the world title on the guy, but for whatever reason, they kind of stick to whatever plans they got. Less Commission 7252 asks, would you guys rather have blocks in the World Tag League this year filled with 8 teams in each block? They have created enough makeshift tag teams and original teams from each unit to put in this year's tag league, and possibly a team from Impact like ABC in Ace Austin and Chris Bay, who are the current TNA tag team champions, and possibly 1 or 2 AEW tag teams. World Tag League can get stale sometimes, just like last year, but this year could be really enjoyable. Yeah, I think I would definitely want to see, the 2-block format with 16 teams. I don't want to do. I'm not a huge fan of doing a single block tournament just because you end up seeing a rematch for the finals, and I would prefer you have 2 blocks so you can do a fresh final and get like a tournament winner that way. So yeah, I think there are definitely tons of teams that New Japan can bring in on top of the teams that they already have to fill out this the World Tag League field. And I think based off of the dates, it seems like we are going to get a 2-block 16-team tournament. But I disagree with last year's roster feeling stale. So looking back, we had Aussie Open, which was their first World Tag League, which we had been waiting on forever. You had Bishamon, who they're the domestic ace tag team right now. You had TMDK, Hasten Nichols, very good team. You had Naito and Sonata, kind of a mega team. You had Hanare and Great Okan from United Empire. The Bebop tag team, Yano and Tanahashi. Archer and Suzuki, Suzuki-gun. Evil and Yujiro Takahashi, which, you have to have House of Torture in there. Fale and Owens, and then the War Dogs, Gabe Kidd and Alex Coughlin. So overall, this was a pretty good lineup for being a single block tournament. I mean, your only really duds there were Evil and Yujiro, Fale and Chase, and Tanahashi and Yano. Everybody else was a really fun team to watch, really solid tag team. So I think some of these teams obviously will be back. Obviously, I think Bishamon, TMDK, there will be some kind of United Empire team, maybe Suzuki and Nagata, Evil and Yujiro probably team together again. And then, you got the War Dogs. And so, there's also a ton of other teams that they could create and pull together. There's a lot of teams that from partner promotions. There's domestic tag teams they could potentially bring in. So, there's a ton of teams out there, and I would prefer to see a 2-8 team block. All right, last set of questions here from Barry Walsh. First is, I don't want to be putting down Dave Finlay even more, but does Gabe Kidd seem more like a leader than he does? Gabe Kidd's awesome. I think Gabe Kidd is super charismatic and really knows the character that he's in right now. This whole kind of madman, wild man who's running out, just throwing stuff and wrecking people. And so, and his promos are great. He's always talking trash. So he just comes off as this wild man, and I do think he could make a great leader of War Dogs if you ever if they're gonna boot Finlay out or Finlay eventually is gonna leave or something like that. I think he's definitely the guy that I would make the front man of the group. I think Finlay overall has done fine being the Bullet Club leader. It just hurts when, his feuds and matches are not as good as some of the guys under him, and especially just the way that some of the fire these guys show. But yeah, it's hard. We've talked about the whole Finley thing. I think there's a lot of reasons why people are down on him, and Suit and I talked about it last week. But yeah, I think that Gabe Kidd's awesome, and he could be a leader. Barry says, also, does the heel role suit Alex Coughlin, or does something seem off with the character? I love Alex. I think he had a lot of gifts, but he doesn't seem like a natural heel to me. I'm not sure if his facial selling or something else, but it just doesn't feel as natural to me compared to the other three War Dogs. I know not all heels are in your face, shouting and dropping F-bombs all the time, but Alex to me seems more like a face role would suit him better. Am I alone in thinking this, or what do you think? Yeah, I mean, I think Coughlin could be a great face, and we saw some of that on New Japan Strong in the feud with JR Kratos. I feel like people were really getting behind him, and then, he would hit those big suplexes on Kratos and get big pops. So I think you can definitely do a baby face run with him, but I've actually been liking him as a War Dog in this heel role, teaming up with Gabe Kidd. I think he's a guy that can go either way. But I'm liking the character so far. I think he's. I think maybe it's hard because maybe you're trying to compare him to Gabe Kidd, and Gabe Kidd, like he says, he's the madman, and he's just completely wild. And he has a ton of charisma. But I feel like Coughlin's been doing well in this role, and him and Kidd teaming together have been fun. So yeah, I think that the heel stuff isn't working for him thus far, but I do think there could be a lot of money with him being a big bruiser babyface. Then Barry's last question, with ZSJ aiming for 20 defenses and already defending the belt well into double figures, it got me thinking of Filthy Tom's title run and what your take on it was. Now we are so long removed. I hadn't seen Tom before Strong, and I adore his style. I love the comedy elements he brings, and he more than backs up the physicality. I love the title reign, but with Strong weekly disappearing and Tom not being in Japan in over a year, it's somewhat forgotten about, which is a real shame. Is it just me, or do other fans also think it was a great run and or missing seeing Team Filthy weekly? So Tom was in Japan in July for the independent shows. But yeah, that was his only Japan booking this year. And yeah, I do think that Tom has been underutilized by New Japan. And we've talked about this, where is he? Like, why wasn't he in G1 this year? I thought he was very good in G1 last year. Why isn't he being brought over from more tours? And I know there are budget issues and only a certain amount of foreigners have been bringing over this year and all that stuff. But I do feel like Philly Tom's a guy that could definitely mix things up. New Japan, it will be a fresh face, some fresh matchups. His Strong title run was awesome. There's a reason why he won our New Japan of America MVP award 2 years in a row. He was the face of that Strong brand, and he had great matches, and that long title run was awesome. The Fred Rosser matches, the Ren Narita matches, the Chris Dickinson matches. There was so many great stuff. The Fred Rosser, there's so many great stuff in that title run. He faced off against Kojima. He had a lot of really good TV title defenses with that Strong title, and I think it was a very memorable reign. I think it really helped establish credibility for the Strong title. And so when Rosser finally beat Tom, it was a big deal. The reign was great. I do miss seeing Team Filthy weekly. I think all those guys are guys that can be plugged into New Japan. Hopefully West Coast Wrecking Crew will be in World Tag League. I feel like Dane Limelight is talented enough to be in a Best of Super Juniors. Tom, can be brought back for a G1. You can put him in a New Japan Cup. He's the guy that would be a welcome addition to the roster in Japan. Well, all right, that was the last question there, and that is going to wrap the show up this week. So next week, hopefully, Young Boy will be back to 100%, and we will review Fighting Spirit Unleashed and nights 2 through 5 of the Super Junior Tag League. So if you enjoyed today's show, please consider making a donation by visiting socialsuplex.com/donate and click on the donate button under the Keeping It Strong Style logo. Make sure to connect with us on social media. On Twitter, the show is at KI Strong Style. You can follow me at Jeremy L. Donovan and follow the network at Social Suplex. On Facebook, we're facebook.com/Social Suplex. On Instagram at Social Suplex. On Reddit, I am the Pro Black Guy, just Keeping It Strong Style. You can email me, Jeremy at socialsuplex.com. Check out all the other shows that we have here on the Social Suplex Podcast Network. One Nation Radio, hosted by Rich Latta and James Boyd. All Things Elite, hosted by Floyd Johnson Jr. and Austin Sumowitz. Imp's WWE Adventure, hosted by The Implications' Matthew Mayer. And stay tuned for new shows coming soon. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a rating and review. And we will catch you next week on Keeping It Strong Style, the ace of podcasts. Ichiban.
Thank you for listening to Keepin' It Strong Style. We'll see you next time.